Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Allam. I am an independent creative of sorts, and today I am joined by Charles Carter, and we're going to be going through some best bits of Adobe Max for video. Good morning, Charles. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How you going?
Yeah, it's nice and bright here, but it looks even brighter where you are. Where are you currently? What's going on?
I'm actually in the French Alps at the moment, and it's actually a really nice day. Very, very warm. We've had a bit of snow recently, but today we're able to enjoy the weather.
Nice. Yeah, I'm genuinely surprised how well you're able to get an internet connection, because you've been running about getting content all over the place, and hopefully we can look through some of that recent footage today. How is the internet there? Is it all right?
Oh, you know what? I'm actually currently hotspotting off of my mobile phone, which is quite impressive because the internet in general here is very, very lacking. So I'm quite lucky that that's working out for me. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be here.
Nice. All right, so just gonna have a little word here on the chat. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you join us on Behance. That's where we're going to be having a discussion in the chat. We'll be monitoring the chat throughout this stream. So if you are on YouTube, feel free to carry on watching there, but we're not going to see any of your chat messages. And speaking of the chat, we got a number of people, a lot of familiar faces, and even a message of Kia ora again, which is New Zealand. It's got to be late there. I think someone's even just said 1 a.m. That's it's very late to be watching creativity, but hopefully you're getting inspired before you go to bed. But for everyone else who's in the chat, we got Steve, Stuart, Gareth, and Lorraine, a few other people, Caroline, all sorts of familiar faces. And this is kind of a continuation of the UK Discord channel, just meeting up every day for the live stream. So the UK session is on at 12 every weekday, and we've got a few coming up later in the week as well. But today we're going to be going through some of the best of Max. So of course, was it last week or week before was Adobe Max? I kind of lost track already, which was a whole host of content and information going through the latest in the Adobe releases. I got a little bit lost in the amount there was to watch. There's still a lot on catch up, and I'm going through watching things. So if you missed the streams that we did or some of the events around the new video features, that's what we're going to be covering today. So it could be a little bit of a recap or a refresher for people. And I think we're going to start with Premiere Rush. So before we head into that, we've just got a little video that hopefully Tim Say in my ear can load up and get playing, which is just going to demo some of the features, and then we can show some of the workflow with some of Charles's fantastic work.
If you're new to making video, we have Premiere Rush, our all-in-one, easy-to-use video editing tool available on iOS, Android, and desktop. We've added some powerful new features to Rush that make producing a great-looking video even easier. And for video professionals who seem to always have too much to do and not enough time, we've added some new time savers in Premiere Pro and After Effects that take care of the busy work so you have more time to create. Let's turn it over to Jason Levine to hear the latest.
Thanks, Scott. Well, I'm here to share with you some of the latest innovations in Adobe Video, and we're going to start with two new features in Adobe Premiere Rush, our cross-platform, cross-device, all-in-one editing app. So recently I was on a trip to Alaska and I shot these images that you see here, and I'd like to share these on social. But rather than share them as a static slideshow, I'd like to give them just a little bit of movement. Well, now you can do this extremely easily with the all-new Sensei-powered pan and zoom. I'm simply going to select all of my images down on the timeline and go up to the new effects panel and choose pan and zoom. And when I do that, Sensei will automatically analyze the images, analyze the region of interest, and automatically create dynamic, beautiful camera movement, really bringing these images to life with a single click. So that's the new pan and zoom. Now, like many of you, sometimes I just like sharing funny, silly videos on social. So here we have a video of a dog running in a field, and I thought, so innocent, so fun, guaranteed to probably brighten someone's day. So maybe I want to share this on Instagram or TikTok. Well, obviously this widescreen aspect ratio isn't going to work. Well, Rush makes it super easy to change to a vertical 9:16, just like this. But when I do that, you can see that there's a problem. The dog is no longer in the center of the frame. Well, it isn't a problem any longer with Auto Reframe. Let's go ahead and enable Auto Reframe, and once again, powered by Adobe Sensei, it will analyze the region of interest and automatically place that dog right in the center of the vertical frame, just like that. Now, if I need to make a change to that adjustment, I can click on Adjust Frame. It'll bring up this lightbox view where now I can make those adjustments here, click Apply, it'll reanalyze the clip, and just like that, create a perfectly framed vertical version of our dog running through the field, suitable for social sharing. So those are the new Sensei-powered Auto Reframe and Pan and Zoom features in Premiere Rush.
Perfect. So that, of course, was the always brilliant Jason Levine running through some of the Rush features. Now I'm going to hand it over to you, Charles, and we can hopefully go through some of your workflow and maybe share your screen on Rush. So if we can get that keyed up, there we go. I'll hand it over to you.
Hi guys. So some of you may not know me. I'm Charles Carter. I'm a videographer and photographer, and I spend a lot of my time traveling and creating content for social and for various clients. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to run through a couple of little projects on Rush that I made the other day, just some footage that I've shot up in the mountains whilst I've been out here. And I'm going to run through a few of the features that I've used from Rush as well, the new features, to make them happen. So I'm going to quickly play through now just a little sequence of some drone footage that I shot the other weekend. So here we go. Cool. So a lot of the time when I use Rush, I'm using it to create short little clips like that for use on my social, like my Instagram, maybe for Instagram stories. It's really, really handy for me just to kind of put a little grade on something, add some music, and just maybe some little graphics, and then I can get it straight into my social, as opposed to sitting down and getting all my kit out of my computer and logging in and getting a sequence going in Premiere. So what I'm going to do is open up another sequence here and just run you guys through what I did in Rush to make that little clip there. So I've just got the cut down clips here with none of the music or the grading on it. And what I'm going to do is start off by adding a music track. So one of the new features, I believe, in Rush is the audio library, which I've added. So you can actually go into add on the bottom left here and go across to audio. And then you've got a whole library of royalty-free music that you can choose from. You've got sound effects, you've got soundtracks, you've got loops. I'm going to go into soundtracks. I think I pulled this one from and find the track I was just using, which was, where was it? Cinematic Elegant Strings, I believe. Give me a moment, I have to track it down. Someone yell at me if I've gone past it. Too many tracks to choose from, that's the problem. Cinematic.
So all this footage, this was, you said, shot last weekend, right?
Yeah. So it was
just on the stream. This was your birthday?
Yeah, it was my birthday. So on the Saturday, we drove up the mountain with some firewood and some snacks, and we went out to shoot some stuff and just had a little fire and kind of chilled out, looked up at the stars. It was really, really, it's probably a great way to spend my birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Well, happy birthday, mate.
Thank you. Oh.
We've got all sorts of sound effects in this library.
It's all going off. Cinematic. Why can't I see? Here we
go.
Cinematic Elegant Strings.
This is the new audio browser that we're just running through here. So this is like a newer feature to hopefully give you more choice and variety. And as we're seeing, we've got a whole load to choose from if you want your quick edits in Rush.
Yeah, it's great. So then just add that, and then that's now just been added to the bottom of the sequence. I can just trim that down really quickly. I don't want to expand it, I want to trim it down. This is where it comes to my big fingers getting in the way. Cool, so that's trimmed down now. And then from there, I'm going to add a little quick grade to the clips, which is another useful feature that I find really, really helpful, just to like make my clips look a lot nicer and just give them a bit more contrast and color. Again, really easy to do. You can just click the color down there on the bottom bar. And what I've actually done here is I've made a preset for these clips yesterday when I did grade them. I'll run through just some quick color grading on here on the next sequence, but here you can see my presets. I've got the mountain preset. I just click that and it adds it on. And you can see the difference it makes already. It's nothing drastic, but it just kind of brings a bit more vibrance to the clip.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
just make it pop a little bit more. And then I can just go along and add that same preset to all the other clips. And if I want to, I can alter it a bit and just tweak it at the bottom. So I'll just add that to all the clips. Takes literally seconds. Cool, I think that's all of them. Already done. So yeah, that's really easy. So then I'll play that through now, and you can really see how it's gone from just a few clips, something. I mean, it's only taken a few minutes to do that. So another really cool feature which I was playing around with the other day, which I really like, is the graphics feature. You can add tons of overlays and graphics and titles and sort of transitions, motion graphics to your clips really quickly. Again, you have a whole library to go through. So I'm just going to go over to the graphics library on the bottom here and add a graphic. And you can see there, you've got titles, you've got transition graphics, you've got overlays, all sorts of things there. And what I'm going to be using is an overlay. And I found this really cool film overlay, which is this one here. There we go. So I'm going to add that. And you can see there, it's been added to the top. And you can just expand that along, drag it out to fit all of the clips. There you go. And now you've got this really cool sort of film grainy overlay over all of your clips, which again, I just think adds a whole new sort of dimension to it. Just adds a little bit more interest to the video.
Yeah, definitely.
I
hadn't even
spotted
you can also actually.
Sorry,
I hadn't seen that one in there before, but
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you can actually edit each layer as well, so you can go into all the little different features of the film overlay. So you've got the exposure on the bottom left, 56mm. You can change those, so you can edit the text on it. So let's say, how long did I expose for here? Let's say 110 seconds. There you go. And now it's 110. You can change the top type of text, the font, and I think you can change the colors as well, the colors, the sizing. You can basically edit all the features of the overlays individually. Again, which is really cool. I think I can change the colors of the borders if I wanted to. But yeah, really cool little feature. And there's tons of them to play around with. You can just go through and sort of add whatever you want, and you can have multiple graphics and stuff. So yeah, again, really handy little tool to kind of personalize your clips just fresh out of the phone instead of putting them on your story kind of raw and blank. You can add a little bit of spice to them. That's what I like to say.
Yeah. We've got a question in the chat asking if this can be synced with some of the brand assets from Adobe Spark. Have you ever used Adobe Spark? I'm assuming you can probably synchronize things with the Creative Cloud libraries, but I don't know. Have you used Adobe Spark before?
I have used Adobe Spark before. I know, yeah, I'm pretty sure that it can upload to library. I'm not sure. Are they asking if the video clips from Rush can be imported into Spark or the overlay graphics?
I think it's more about the graphics, because I know with some of the titles, if you can create the motion graphics in Premiere Pro, as long as they're created in Premiere Pro, not in After Effects, you can save those and synchronize those to Premiere Rush via the Creative Cloud libraries. But Adobe Spark, I've personally not got any experience with that, and I'm assuming because that's all like template-based social posts, I believe. If you can save it to the Creative Cloud libraries, I'm sure you could probably drop them in, or at least the Creative Cloud Drive, because you'll get storage available with that.
Yeah, I'm not 110% sure on that, but yeah, I'm sure there'd be some way around it for sure.
Yeah,
there's always a way to get around things. But yeah, no, really useful little tool. And then from there, I am going to add some transitions, which again, I think Jason was mentioning the new, was it the crop and the zoom for images, the zoom and kind of crop effects? Zoom, yeah, pan and zoom, which are really cool. You can't use them obviously on video clips, but you can add other sorts of transitions, which are really helpful. So I'm going to be adding just a fade in and out at the end of this video, which again, I always like to bring things in gently and then end them again, like just fade them out. So you just go to effects. Wait, am I talking? Oh, sorry. Effects. Yeah, effects. Forgot what I was talking about for a second there. And I'm going to be adding the black here. So I'm just going to zoom in a bit on the clip, and you can see here that I now have a transition on the end, and you see there on the end it's right there, and it just fades it out to black. And you can edit this just by sort of selecting it and dragging it to expand it like that. So you can make the transition longer or shorter. I think you can also change the duration at the bottom here if you just want to do it with a slider, which is probably a bit easier actually. And then
there's definitely some surprise of people thinking like, oh my god, you're doing this all on a phone, like with just your fingertips. I know it can be a little bit fiddly sometimes, but I think once you get used to it, I mean, as you say, you're always on the move, so you kind of have no choice half the time.
That's it, yeah, 100%. I mean, it's either post nothing or post very, not bland, I wouldn't say it's bland video, but I think I just like to, add that little bit of extra to videos. So yeah, it's a very helpful tool, especially whilst I'm running around the mountains and shooting things on the go and not really getting much time to stop and settle down anywhere. So yeah, it's a bit of a lifesaver, really.
Definitely.
But yeah, so you can see it's added the transition to both ends of the clip there. So I'm just going to delete this one here, take it out. You just go to none. I'm pretty sure that's the right way to do it. Yeah, so it's still got the transition on the end. And take it off. So then again, I'm just going to run back to the start, select this clip here, and then add another fade in transition. So you can see there, it starts nice and slowly. Get rid of this one here because we don't need it. And then I think we're almost back to the original product. I'll just give you guys a quick playthrough. I think that's the same as the clip I showed at the start, and it's really taken me no time at all. You can see how quickly I went from just having cut down clips in my sequence to something that I'm more than happy to share. Yeah, I mean, the only thing there that I didn't do maybe was line up the music just a little bit off, I think, which is not too big of a deal. But yeah, it's a fun little clip, and then I can just export that and upload it to Instagram or my stories, or share it anywhere else I want to share it, really.
Nice. What drone were you using?
So that was Mavic Pro, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it wasn't my drone. I had to borrow, actually. I lost both of my drones about a year ago in a very tragic accident, and I haven't replaced them yet. So that was a borrowed drone, but very handy.
Yeah, definitely.
Great little tool.
It's amazing. So whenever I've used Premiere Rush on my iPad, a lot of the footage that I'm taking is either come from my GH5 or from the Panasonic S1H, and I've kind of played around with that. And those are heavy files, like all of them are 10-bit capable, 10-bit files and in 4K. And it's amazing how much the iOS systems, were you using an iPhone then, or?
Yeah, iPhone, yeah.
It just eats through the footage, like it just goes through it buttery smooth. When I'm using on desktop, the hardware just struggles to keep up with 4K, and especially in 10-bit, and I've got to create proxies all the time. But importing straight into Rush, and it can just play it back, or it can even optimize it even further if you're synchronizing it separately. I'm always thoroughly impressed that it's just smooth playback. And even then, like, you're playing it back as you've got edits on it, and you're hotspotting and streaming all at the same time. And it's just working. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, even the fact that you can color grade on the go and like see it in action as you're putting the grade on it, and then it plays, like you said, plays back straight away. I mean, that wouldn't happen on my MacBook. I know that much.
Yeah, it's just anyway. It's crazy how the computer tech has kind of like leapfrogged in some ways, and then the camera is sort of caught up, and then that's pushing the computer tech, and it's always a chicken and egg thing of, you know, you want the higher quality cameras, but do you have the hardware to play it back and edit it? And then as soon as you get that, then we're on a page of like, well, cameras can do more again. So it's up and down all the time.
Oh yeah, sure.
Cool. So that is a great example of Premiere Rush. If you wanted to, you could export that and, you know, obviously share it elsewhere. But I think we're now going to head over into Premiere Pro, and I've got some footage that I can demo, showing how some of those auto reframe options can work in Premiere Pro. So I need to share my screen. And
I will stop sharing mine.
And yep, whilst we're doing that, we've got a video on some of these new features from Premiere Pro. So let's just run through this.
Now, segueing over to Premiere Pro, our professional video editing application, let's take a look at something called Scene Edit Detection. So here we have a clip that's already been finished. It's cut, it's done, and maybe I want to recut this and repurpose for social. Maybe I want to cut it down into a trailer. But as I take a look at this video, I notice that some of the cuts have different color, different contrast, different saturation, and I'd like to kind of even those out. Well, that would involve me going in and manually placing cuts at all the different cut points. Too much time wasted. Well, I don't have to do that anymore. If I simply right-click here, I can choose Scene Edit Detection. And once again, leveraging the power of Adobe Sensei, it will analyze this clip and automatically apply a cut at each detected cut point. You can see that I can easily move between all the cuts here with my arrow keys, and when I find one that needs a bit of tweaking, I can go into the Lumetri Color panel and adjust things like saturation or contrast or vibrance, making it exactly the way that I want. And to finish this off now, I can go into the Essential Sound panel, and perhaps I need some dynamic music. Well, I can dip into Adobe Stock Audio's 37,000 tracks, which I can preview right here in the interface, drag right into the timeline, and keep on working. So that's the awesome new Adobe Stock Audio and Scene Edit Detection. So now I'd like to share with you some of the work we've been doing around captioning in Premiere Pro by giving you a sneak peek of our speech-to-text workflow. Now, when you caption your content, you make it more accessible to a wider audience. More access means more views and more engagement. But creating captions has traditionally required a lot of effort and time. With speech-to-text, we've made it easy. So here we have a video in the timeline. Let's go ahead and take a look and listen, and you'll see this is a video that could really benefit from having captions.
This is a day in the life these days. We eat the same things every day. We watch movies and lay around just to pass time away.
So let's go into the new text panel here. We're going to go into the transcript tab. We're going to click on transcribe. Now when I do that, all I have to do is choose the language of my video, click transcribe. It's automatically going to upload that video and analyze it, and it's going to return to us a fully time-coded transcript of everything spoken in that video, making it simple and easy to follow along with, even edit right on screen in Premiere. Let's take a look.
This is a day in the life these days. We eat the same things every day. We watch movies and lay around just to pass time away.
Awesome. Well, now that that's done, that's really only the first step. Now we want to create captions. Well, you'll notice that we have a button in here called Create Captions. And when I click on that, it will automatically transform that transcript into fully editable captions with this new captions track that you'll see inside of the Premiere Pro timeline. But it gets better than that, because leveraging the Essential Graphics panel, you can now use all of the stylization tools available in the EGP to stylize your content, use any of the 18,000 Adobe fonts, and truly make those captions your own. So cool, and we're so excited for you to start using this new speech-to-text workflow.
Thanks again, Jason, for all of those helpful insights. Before we jump into the screen share, I just want to take a note to talk about that caption system. So I don't think it's actually available fully yet. I think that's something that's coming soon. But I'm personally very interested in that. for a number of reasons. So first of all, the accessibility aspect of just making your videos more accessible to other people, whether they're watching simply with no speakers or headphones, or if people need subtitles, or that being built into the video and then uploading and can be supported by YouTube, whether you include it as a I can't remember what the file type is, but a closed caption file type, you can have that auto-generated, or you could burn it into the video. That's huge. But another aspect that I'm really excited for is if you're working on like a documentary piece, or you're doing a lot of videos talking to camera and you're taking multiple takes, the amount of times I'm editing things and I'm thinking, have I already said that? Did I say this? Or you're trimming it down, trying to find where you've got your best take of something. If you submitted all of that to do the auto caption, you could go back and visually, by paragraph, you can see how your video looks. And that's one of the difficulties with working with audio, is you can't look at it and see an overview of multiple audio things. You always have to do it one by one. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there because I'm very excited for that speech to text. I don't know if you have any extra thoughts on how that would fit into your workflow. Do you think it would help?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I agree with everything you've just said, to be honest. The whole sort of merging with YouTube, like it sort of merges in with that. I think one of the biggest pains for me back when I used to upload quite frequently was having to go through and close caption everything myself. It was sometimes taking as long as it was to edit the video, so having that already built in is just crazy, really. I mean, it takes a lot of work off of your hands. And like you said, when you're editing and you're sitting there and you're looking at the sound bar below, and you're kind of going back and forth trying to trim it down just to where you want this word to end and that sentence to begin, and again, haven't been able to see that on screen, it's just it's great.
It's I don't think people really appreciate how much of a headache it can be sometimes when you're editing. For example, you're saying something and maybe you've got a particular point you want to say, and you don't realize you've actually said it twice, because you've said it at the start and then at the end, and then you go through and you watch it, and you're editing in sort of a set area of your timeline, and then when you watch it all in full at the end, you're like, I said it twice, I didn't even realize. Like, what was wrong with me?
Yeah, and sometimes you don't even catch it. You wait till you've uploaded it, and then you're watching the final product, you're like, oh man, why did I do that?
And then the other aspect to the speech to text, probably more useful for people like ourselves, where we're uploading on social and we're using it as a business, is the whole SEO capabilities. The fact that your videos, you're essentially telling platforms like YouTube the content of your video in text format, so you can really optimize for searchability, which is huge there. I'm very excited for when that comes about, which I'm not actually sure, but hopefully soon. Anyway, let's jump into my Premiere screen. So first of all, I am going to show the scene edit detection. So again, this is something that I've used quite a lot in the past, where I'm editing a video and I maybe reference back like an old YouTube video, and I either don't have the time or can't be bothered to open up the Premiere file again and go through and find those individual clips, or browse through my archive to find those clips. And I know that I've already made an edit of a video and I've already found those best sections. So if I want to reference that, it's sometimes easier to just grab the final exported video and just drop it into Premiere. And then from there, I would set ins and outs and I would drop those into my new timeline. But with the new scene edit detection, you could actually just drop this whole video in. So I've got here, this is one of my videos last year. I made this testing out the new iPhone 11 Pro, and it's just a whole host of static videos around Japan, just showcasing just what the camera can do, really, but also what everyday life is like in Japan. So clips like this. Just all my favorite little bits of Japan, really, just the little details of things. And so I've dragged that in, and this is, how long is this? This is an 8 minute and 12 seconds. So of course I could go through and I could make cuts throughout this, and I could find bits, lift those, and then place them into a different timeline. But with the scene edit detection, that whole process gets made so much easier. So from within your timeline, you could right click and do scene edit detection, or within your project panel, you can also do it on a whole sequence if you already have that. Where is it? Oh no, that's a different feature. So no, from the timeline. So you can right click scene edit detection, and this will go through and process. And we've got some options here. So you can ask Premiere to apply a cut at each detected point. You can create a bin of subclips, which is very handy. So in your project panel, that will then create an area where you've got all of those clips that it's detected. You can also choose it to create a clip marker. Personally, I would use these interchangeably. So I'm either going to apply a cut or I'm going to apply a marker. So the marker could be handy if you just wanted an overview of where particular scenes are within your video. That could be useful. You could do all three if you want, but generally speaking, I'd probably choose just these top two. Then we'll hit analyze, and I'm not sure how long this is going to take, but we're going to give it a go. Okay, so you can see that that would then go through, and I thought that was going to take a little while. So this would perhaps take, I don't know, a couple of minutes or so, but here's my Blue Peter moment. I've already made one. So this is a sequence that has come from that. And if we go through and I just tap on the keyboard, so I'm just using the up and down, let's zoom in, we can see it's found those scenes almost perfectly. If we go left and right frame, it's found those cuts. Now, this works well for me because I quite often only like to do straight cuts on things. I don't really go too hard on the transitions. I just find it's a timeless way of editing to have things very simply cut together, and then you would manipulate your narrative that way. So this works extremely well for this particular video. And I assume it would only get better for future cases if you're using it in more intense narratives. But either way, I can find some clips here. So let's say I've got this one. And I could just take that particular section and I could either just copy those and paste those into another sequence, or I could lift those, or I can do a reframe of this into my Instagram stories. So if I wanted to reshare, where's this whole scene? That starts there. So I'm going to do an in, and then, nope, not the washing machines. Let's do an out on that. So I've now created a sequence here that is almost perfectly 15 seconds. I didn't plan that, by the way. That's pretty great for Instagram stories. And let's create a, where am I looking? Auto reframe. I've lost it. Is it there? It's not there, is it? Let's create a new sequence with this. Tell you what, I'm going to duplicate and delete around. That's the quickest way to show how I'd actually use it. Oops, wrong one. And okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show how it looks with this same sequence, and then I will do an auto reframe of that. So everything afterwards we can delete, and everything before, oops, we can delete back. Okay, so I've now got this sequence of just all of these pieces, and what I want to do is auto reframe this sequence into a vertical format. So if we do auto reframe, so first of all, it's going to ask us for a name on that sequence, and then we can choose an aspect ratio. We've got some defaults here, so I know that I need vertical 9:16, and we can choose how we'd like it to auto reframe. So what this is going to do is it's going to find the moment of interest within the video, and then it's going to frame that sequence to show just that bit. You can control if you want that to be a slower one or if you want it to be faster. I'm just going to leave it on default for now, and I'm not going to nest the clip, so we'll just leave it as it is. Hit create, and immediately that's now created a vertical video. And if we look back to that original sequence, which was in the wide format, you can see this lady here making the boxes is kind of over into the right third, but in the scene edit detected, it's positioned it well. Sorry about that. And it's just found all those moments within that video, and it's detected those and moved those across. Let me just change my workspace. I've got one here for vertical video. Yeah, that should be easier to see now. So now that I've got these clips, if I wanted to, I could just go through and export those. But the great thing is that I'm just able to pull certain aspects apart from those videos. Likewise, if we went back to my other video, so this is where it could be quite useful. Quite often I am doing say like a video piece, and I've got a section in the middle that is worthwhile sharing as its own sort of standalone piece. So I've got a whole vlog here, which is all about taking photos in rainy London. And I've got this section here, which is kind of the meat of the video, talking about a few topics within photography that I may want to export. So again, I can create ins and outs of that section, and I could then put that into a separate IGTV or a separate format. And from here, I can export that as its own standalone video. So doing the auto reframe feels like a great way to maximize the amount that your content can reach, because you can put things on YouTube in wide format, you can put things on Instagram in vertical, and just really get the most out of your footage. Moving on from here, another feature which unfortunately isn't in the Premiere Pro, but it's available in the beta, is a quick export. So with this same sequence that I've got, which is ready for IGTV, or if I wanted to put on Twitter or something, I can do a complete in and out on the sequence. So if I go in and then go to the end, out, and at the top right is this new feature of quick export. You can choose a location, can add a preset of my file format. So let's say I wanted to put it on Twitter, I'll just do a 1080 version, and I can hit export, and that's just going to grab that footage and just quickly export it without going through the media exporter. And that is a huge time saver, not only just for publishing social content if you want to get things out, but also if you're working with clients and you want to do low res samples, for example, or you just want to do quick edits to see if it works. Sometimes we're working with footage that doesn't play back so smoothly because it's super beefy. Doing a quick export, you can see how your narrative works and you can see it all adding together. So yeah, that's something that's definitely very huge. Do you think with your client work, do you find yourself sharing low res samples a lot, or do you just share the full blown thing?
Oh, definitely lots of low res samples, version 1, version 2, all the renaming of the title of the files. But yeah, no, that's I feel like we've been really spoiled, to be honest, by these latest updates as video creators, because everything that's been released is just shaving huge amounts of time off of the work that you have to do to get an end product out. I mean, the auto scene detection, like you said, when you're pulling up old YouTube videos, for example, and you want to reference something, or you're putting a new sort of montage together from older clips, it's just so much easier to have that automatically find the cut points, and then you can just drag them out yourself, as opposed to having to watch through the whole video or scroll through the whole video and put the little cuts in. And then the same with the scene detector, the auto reframe. I mean, I had a client that I would shoot some food products for, and it would probably be 4 or 5 products in a single shoot. and from that I would have the landscape cut downs, and then from that again I would have to create the portrait cut downs for the 2 different socials. And I mean, what I was doing was making the landscape and then duplicating that sequence and then reframing everything, recutting everything, sort of moving everything around manually, and it just added days to the editing, to be honest. And I mean, seeing that work so well there is just, it brings inspiration to my life.
Yeah, and it was pretty much instantaneous as well to convert to the vertical format, and you've got the ability there if you want to go and reframe it, because obviously this is AI powered, so it's not going to do a perfect job. We know that it's going to be computer generated, but the way that it does it, most of the time it's exactly what you want. But if it's not, you can go and change it, you can make your adjustments. It works really well. Just noticed a few people asking in the chat about those boxes. So these, where was it? Where did I put it? So these boxes that are being made. So these are what's known as masu, which are traditionally used to measure rice. So it's a way that you can have a full box of rice, and then that way you could add your 2 parts water to 1 part rice to cook your Japanese rice, but also is used for drinking sake. So these are fully water sealed or liquid sealed. I can't remember what the wood is. It's like what's it called? It's like a cedar style wood. It smells amazing, by the way. This whole workshop smelled fantastic. You just walked in, you could taste it. It was incredible. And yeah, this particular company, they make about 80 or 90% of all the masu in Japan. So they are like the premium one. Really, really cool. So yeah, that is the auto reframe, the scene edit detect, and the quick export. Now let me jump into one of the extra features, which I'm looking forward to, but I must pre-warn you that this is some heavy footage. So if it does crash, I apologize in advance. We're streaming and recording all at the same time. So let's give this a go. So this is some updates to Premiere Pro about using ProRes RAW. So ProRes RAW is a new format that's being adopted by multiple camera brands for capturing the raw data off of your video sensor and compiling it into a video format that's easy to edit, isn't choppy, and isn't a pain to edit, but gives you the complete flexibility of a raw sensor output. So it's still in development. It's been created by Atomos and Apple, and is being adopted by most of the Panasonic cameras, the new Sony cameras, both their Cine ones and their A7 series, and Nikon have got ProRes RAW. I think they were the first actually to include it, and it's pretty much a format that is shaking up the industry, and a lot of people are very excited about it. So I've done some tests with this, and I've worked with Atomos as well on demoing this in some extra videos that I think you can find on the Adobe Max Atomos sponsor page. So effectively, what is new, which is perhaps not going to showcase just how impressive this is, because Premiere is actually doing a lot for us. It's doing it automatically. So ProRes RAW, because it's capturing the full sensor output, if you imagine a color space or a luminance space of the full sensor, so from your complete highlights to the pure blacks, the shadows, when we display it on a regular display, we only have this amount of space that we can use. So we need to conform that footage and bring all of that highlight data and all of that shadow data so that we've got complete flexibility on which elements we want to share. So with ProRes RAW, because it's a raw sensor output, it needs to be processed in Premiere Pro. So we've got this footage here, and you can already see that in my program monitor, Premiere is actually doing a pretty good job of showing how it looks. But if we look in the timeline, this is actually how it used to look before these updates. So if you see down here, it looks incredibly blown out. It doesn't look very tasty at all. It's just not very good. But Premiere is recognizing that this is ProRes RAW, and it's applying some adjustments to it. So if we go into our effects control panel, and this is the same clip, just duplicated. And if we go into the master, we've now got some color space options. So because this was shot on a Panasonic S1H, I need to choose the V gamut. So this has now converted that footage into the V gamut color space, otherwise known as your color space is the gamma setting. And then if we go into our Lumetri color panel, and I'm actually going to add this over to my side, make that a bit smaller. Okay, and again on the master clip. So now we can apply a technical LUT. So if you know about where your LUTs are stored, you've got the creative folder and you've also got the technical folder. So technical folder is where you put your input LUTs. And we now just need to convert from the Vlog raw gamut to the Vlog V gamut, which is the color width, I believe. I may have got those interchangeably wrong, but one of those is the width and the other one is the luminance aspect. Now that's made a very slight tweak. You may not be able to tell the difference there. And I'm not sure if it's going to come through on the stream, but just toggling that on and off, I can see that there's adjustments in the greens in particular. So this has now converted our ProRes RAW footage into what is effectively the same as shooting in Vlog on a Panasonic camera. And manufacturers would also have their own technical LUTs for Sony cameras and other brands. And we've now got our workspace in a familiar format to go and edit as we always have done using Vlog or S-Log or whatever. I think N-Log is for Nikon.
Don't forget C-Log.
C-Log unfortunately isn't ProRes RAW.
Oh.
So yeah, there's no ProRes RAW on Canon. They've got their own proprietary one, which at the moment, admittedly, Canon RAW is actually more developed. So you can do more things such as adjusting your white balance and other features. But ProRes RAW as a format is a developing format. So when it was created, it was a case of just raw sensor, and then it was very much run and gun for a lot of editors. They'd have to piece it together and work it and sort of mold it into what they want. Now we've got features that are doing some of that automation process. And what I'm expecting is that as it develops further, we'll get those controls on the white balance and resetting the ISO and other features of raw video that exist in full-fledged raw codecs. And that should be backwards compatible because the video format is always a raw format. So as it develops further, just takes more adoption from cameras. It's kind of which one comes first. But anyway, we've now got our footage in a Vlog format. And from here, we can then either apply some LUTs that we already use. So I've got some here, and I can then do my adjustments. And we've got huge amounts of flexibility. So I can really bring highlights down and adjust things. And that's one of the benefits of ProRes RAW, is that this is 12-bit footage, so it's very malleable. And because it's ProRes, we should be able to play it back.
This is ProRes RAW.
Fairly smooth, although that's actually very loud. But yeah, I'm very excited for how ProRes is developing, and it's coming to a lot of cameras. Am I right in thinking you use a Sony camera?
No, I shoot on Canon mainly.
Oh, okay.
I shot when I was out in New Zealand. We had the Sony FS500.
Nice.
Tentatively saying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the stuff I shoot run and gun is just mainly on a 5D Mark IV, which is where I get the C-Log from. But yeah, I mean, just seeing you bring back those highlights and the whites down then was ridiculous. How much of a difference it can make. I mean, that's
it's
usable there, but as soon as you bring that back, it's crazy. I mean, that's back down to normal exposure, obviously underexposed now, but yeah, it's ridiculous.
And what's great with this as well, like just moving it around, not only is it doing a good job, but it's also doing it pretty quick as well. Like I'm not having to wait for it to raster, which we used to have to do. And and there's no banding in the highlights. Like this is pulling it apart. If we open the Lumetri scopes, running out of workspace whilst I'm in this zoomed in format. They're gonna load. We're not gonna. Come on. There we go. So yeah, we can really pull this around and manipulate that, and we've got so much headroom to work with. This is a massive amount. So this is all your brightest areas, and these are all of your darkest areas. Yeah, so working with raw formats. And one of the benefits with ProRes RAW is the actual file sizes are somewhere in between ProRes 422 and ProRes 444. So they're not ridiculously huge file sizes compared to regular RAW formats. It's like a really tasty middle ground of flexibility and like operability. It's easy to work with. I mean, ProRes, don't get me wrong, is still large file sizes compared to what comes out of your camera normally. But in comparison to, say, Redcode RAW, which is you'll eat through terabytes in minutes. So yeah, this is a very, very cool feature. Cool. So I think those are our updates for Premiere Pro and Premiere Rush. We've also got some updates on After Effects. Unfortunately, those updates are not in any sort of direction towards our workflows. There's a lot of things with 3D and workspaces around working on 3D timelines. But as always, we've got a video here again from Jason Levine, and we can run through some of those updates and see what's new there. Is Tim got the video? Oh, it's loading.
And last but not least, let's move over to After Effects, our visual effects and motion graphics application. And I'd like to share with you some of the new features and improvements we've made around 3D. So here we have a very basic 3D scene, and I'm going to start by clicking on this front mountain layer. And when I do that, you're going to see something new. It's our new Universal Transform gizmo that makes manipulation easier, more intuitive, modern, and real time. You can rotate and move on all axes. We even give you dimensional guides that provide detailed feedback so you can make pixel-perfect changes right on screen. We've reimagined the pan, orbit, and dolly controls, and the new default camera makes it so much easier to begin navigating around 3D space. There's even new hotkeys for all of this. But really, at the end of the day, it all comes to the playback, and the playback is being driven by a new, modern, gaming-style engine that enables 3D layers to perform in real time, all on the GPU. And playback is more immediate than ever, truly reimagining how you work with 3D comps and After Effects. And these are just some of the latest innovations in Adobe Video. Thank you for listening. Back to you, Scott.
Thanks, Jason. Pan and zoom and auto reframe are awesome additions to Premiere Rush. If you edit and publish a lot to social or are new to video, you've got to check out Rush. You're absolutely going to love it. And the speech-to-text tool in Premiere Pro and 3D design space in After Effects are major innovations that will save those of you who are video professionals a ton of time. And speaking of saving time, over the last year, the team has made some incredible performance improvements. In fact, video export and playback in the formats used most often on YouTube and social networks are now twice as fast in Premiere Pro and significantly faster than competing products.
Well, that's all pretty cool. It's reminding me with those Christmas features there of making some seasonal graphics. This is something I used to do a number of years back. I used to always make like a desktop wallpaper that was very wintry themed, and I've not done it for a long time. So it's making me want to do that. But yeah, I want to get into After Effects more for some of the 3D stuff. I do it for a lot of title designs and things for Premiere. Do you ever use After Effects in your workflow? Do you have the time for that?
Yeah, when I'm working on larger projects, a lot of the time, I mean, again, I wouldn't say I'm anywhere near expert with After Effects, but I do use it a lot for masking out certain things from video clips. There's a really cool feature actually that was shown recently where you kind of just sort of drag around an object you want removed in a moving video, and it will automatically mask and replace that object and smart fill it in a moving clip, which I just thought was ridiculous and extremely useful, because before that you would have had to, mask it out in each frame and move the mask along and sort of fill it in yourself, and it just took so much time. So again, it's just super good tool for saving time for some of my projects. Great for removing noise as well from clips. I've used it for that too. Some of the noise removal filters and stuff in After Effects are really useful. But yeah, it's not the biggest part of my workflow, I don't think. Sometimes motion graphics can come into play, but yeah, it's always there, and it's always useful to have.
Yeah, there's some comments in the chat about wanting to get involved with After Effects and Premiere more, and I think with all of these pieces of software, there's always what appears to be an intimidating learning curve ahead of you, and After Effects is definitely up there for me on software that I've opened in the past and thought, nah, close that. But I must admit, over the last 2 or 3 years or so, I've really embraced it and gone headfirst into things. In the last year especially, I've been coding a lot in After Effects. So doing a lot of my title templates, they're all built on code, and working with things again to be more efficient and sort of progressive in the way that I can do more with less time. But yeah, the 3D aspect, I've personally got no real experience with. But that being said, it does look very accessible, and I'm excited to see how other people may use it. Sure. So yeah, I think that's a pretty great roundup of what we've got happening in the video space from Adobe. We've also got some further streams later this week. We've got some design ones. So we've got illustration with Hazel Mead and Rachel Presky. We've got, again, graphic design with Veronica Raffa, and Your Head in the Cloud, which sounds great fun. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I think we're going to be going through some of the cloud formats of Creative Cloud. And then, of course, the Best of Max Creative Cloud updates as a general on Friday. And if you want to continue the conversation further, there's the Discord channel. So if you're new to Discord, it's almost like a forum type space, a continuous chat, sharing inspiration. It's a very active chat, and there's a lot of people sharing their tips and insights as we all keep each other creatively inspired. So yeah, if there are any closing thoughts or comments or anything, I'm just going to have a quick run through the chat. I think we have covered a whole lot of stuff there. So I want to thank you, Charles, for joining today, and thanks to everyone who's been watching. It's been a great stream as always, and we will see you again in another one real soon. Thanks.
Yep.